As I mentioned you earlier, Siddhartha, he took his great renunciation from this gate. So renunciation is such a big word, you know. If we apply in our life, we will be very much happiest person in the world. If you know the meaning of renunciation and if you try to practice it, that's the greatest things in our life. That's the happiest moment in our life. So the Siddhartha, he renounced not a small thing, he renounced his wife, newly born child who was only 7 days old. He renounced with his father. He renounced his stepmother who took care of him since he was 7 days old. Siddhartha became a motherless child when he was only 7 days old. Maya Devi passed away 7 days after giving the child. So all the care and take care was given by Prajapati. So he renounced the stepmother. He renounced the own country. He was supposed to be the king of Kapilvastu, but he renounced it. And at midnight, he came down and he went to see his wife and child. They were sleeping. But some literature that mentioned that Yasodhara, she knew that tonight he will leave us. Because Siddhartha was little bit, not a very normal behavior he was doing it. So Siddhartha, Yasodhara, she pretended that she is sleeping. Siddhartha, he wanted to go and give a parting kiss to his child. But he realized that if I touch it, they will wake up. Again, there will be a problem for me to leave them. So without that, he just picked from the gate, come out, went to the Channa's room. He knocked the door of Channa. Channa, he was a charioteer. Channa, now let us move. So Channa they carried the horse Kantaka. From this gate, they just crossed it. When they went outside, Siddhartha, he stopped the horse. He beeped the city. So he had a dilemma. Should I leave or shall I come back? So then he determined that, no, I should leave now. So Siddhartha, he took a leave. Whole night they traveled. They reached on the bank of river Anuma. Afternoon, I told you that he just removed all this dress and ornament. Even he got it here, made a bundle and handed over to Channa and said that Channa, go back to Kapilvastu. Maybe my father, mother, everyone is worried about me because I didn't inform to anyone. They must be searching for me. Go and just give this bundle to my father and tell him that I will not come to Kapilvastu until the path I am looking for that. Even you take the the Kantaka. So that beautiful sculpture from Gandhara is called Kantaka is touching the feet of the Buddha. So when the Kantaka arrived, a little far away there is a small mound. If you see in between after this tree, you can see a little bit bush there. So this is where the Kantaka and Channa arrived. So Kantaka, the horse, he stood there. Then he felt that he's missing his teacher. So the Siddhartha is not in the palace. The literature mentioned that Kantaka, he died there. So later on Sakya people, they made a stupa in the memory of Kantaka. So Xuanzang mentioned that east gate to the east, there is a stupa, which is called the Kantaka stupa. This is where the Kantaka passed away. Unfortunately, that site also excavated by gentleman who excavated Gotihoa, Dr. Waddell, 1898. Unfortunately, he didn't leave any report. What he found, what is discovered, nothing. Simply he dug and he left it. So one year after, there was another archaeologist called Mukherjee from India. He came to excavate the site. So he went there. He saw the bricks were opened and there were some bones were left. Those days there was no any, scientific laboratory to check the bone. So he simply drew the piece of the bone and the rest remaining, he just left it. So we have only the drawing left by the P.C. Mukherjee that is almost like 125 years back, what he left to us. So then there also we did the geophysics survey. We have a ground penetrating radar. It is like a grass cutting machine, you know. So we just use the grass cutting machine GPR in the whole areas. There were many monasteries underneath the ground. There is a big, pond, 30 meter by 30 meter pond. So we did some small trenches with the help of this UNESCO Kathmandu. The Japan government, they have one project called Japan Funding Trust. They give some money to UNESCO Kathmandu. With the help of that money, we did some excavation. We found a huge structures underneath the ground. So one of the biggest monastery complex in this area. So this is the importance of the site. So as this morning I mentioned that, Siddhartha, after he, enlightened, he visited 4 times to Kapil Vastu. All these 3 times he stayed in the Nigrodharama, which we visited it. Second visit, he came when his father was very sick. He was in a deathbed. Buddha came with his son, his co-brother Nanda, and 30 other monks. And first time Buddha, he taught this Mahasati, the Anapanasati. First time in Kapil Vastu to his father. His father passed away. And that's third time Buddha, he spent his rainy retreat in, in Kapil Vastu, in the Nigrodharama. 3 months he stayed there. And the fourth time, literature mentioned that, Kapil Vastu was attacked by Koshala kingdom. Shravasti you visited, that was the capital city of Koshala kingdom. Koshala was very powerful kingdom during that time. There were many, the 16 great kingdoms in northern part of India. So Magadha is a very powerful. Second one is Magadha is a Rajgir and all that. You visited that. That's a Magadha kingdom. This is a Kosala kingdom. So there was some enmity with the Sakya and Kosala. Sakya became little proud, what I see in the literature, because they have the Buddha. And the Koshala king Prasenajit, he was a devotee of the Buddha. And the Anatha Pindika, that you saw the Jana, Jetabana. So they were the people. But the Prasenajit's son is called as Birudhaka. He was in Kapila Vastu in his childhood. So when he went back, he was insulted by the Sakya youths. You are from the low origin and all the stories. So he wanted to take a revenge with the Sakya for that. So he tried to attack Kapil Vastu 3 times. All the 3 times Buddha stopped it. Birudhaka, do not kill them. They are your brothers and sisters. The last time when Buddha was not there, Birudhaka, he came with a big army. And Buddha heard that, it is the faith of the Sakyas, what they have done it, they got the result. So Sakyas were massacred. Whole city was burned down. Whole city was burned down, and every citizen of the city, Siddhartha inside the city, he killed it. And for the proof that, everywhere I dig a small trench, I excavate it, there is a particular layer of the soil. We call it layer number 6. That contains the ashes and the charcoal. That is the evidence of the fire of, either it is Birudhaka, he fired the city, or once in a Kapil Vastu was caught by the fire, and that layer formed it. After that layer, that's a layer number 6, we have a 13 layers. Occupation of the human beings. We have a 13 different layers of the human occupation. Number 6 is the very important. This is the ash and charcoal layer. And above then, there is a silent, there is no any occupation. After that, only in the 3rd century BC, we have a new occupation, new group of people, they occupied this area. And the site was occupied till 4th century. After that, site was again deserted. So the first time the site was rediscovered by the archaeologists, it was 1895. Because there was a big search because what happened, 1861, Archaeological Survey of India was formed in India. First Director General was Alexander Cunningham. During that time, Chinese pilgrims' record, Xuanzang's record, was translated into English. So he turned the pages of the Xuanzang's visit. So he was so interested to find out all the places mentioned by Xuanzang. whole archaeological survey was after the searching the Buddha's places. So when they came about the Kapilvastu and the Lumbini, it was in Nepal. During that period, Nepal government stopped foreigners to come to Nepal and explore and search the Buddha's places. So accidentally, 1893, one Indian was in Nepal jungle for hunting. He saw one pillar with the inscription. He wrote an article that I saw one stone pillar with the inscription in Nepal jungle. So Britishers, they thought that this must be the Lumbini pillar. So they wrote a letter to Nepal government to allow them to explore it. So one British German archaeologist, Dr. Führer, he came to this area. And he was the first man, he came to this place and said that Tilora Kot, this is called Tilora Kot, present name is Tilora Kot. Tilora Kot may represent the ancient capital city of the Sakyas. He was the first man in 1895. 1899, again they send one archaeologist, go and find the place, whether it is actual Kapilvastu or not. One Indian archaeologist came here 1899. So after he dug some places, the archaeological material, he was the first one. He said that there is no any other potential site like Kapilavastu, Tilarakot to be claimed as the capital. It is Sakya. So the whole world accepted it. So this is the place where the Siddhartha lived for 29 years. So we tried to put this site into World Heritage Property. This year it was happening in France. But the Indian, they opposed it, no. Because they have their one site called Piprahawa and Ganbaria. They try to claim that that is the capital city of the Sakyas. That controversy is going on. So anyway, we are here. Now let's go to see the place, the gate.
Politics.
Yes, main